Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, known locally as Atlanta Airport. Hartsfield, or Hartsfield-Jackson, is an international airport located 7 miles south of the central business district of Atlanta, Georgia. It has been the world's busiest airport by passenger traffic since 1998, and by number of landings and takeoffs from 2005 to 2013, and in 2015. Hartsfield-Jackson held its ranking as the world's busiest airport in 2012, both in passengers and number of flights, by accommodating 100 million passengers and 950,119 flights. Many of the nearly 1 million flights are domestic flights from within the United States, where Atlanta serves as a major hub for travel throughout the southeastern United States. The airport has 207 domestic and international gates. Hartsfield-Jackson is the primary hub of Delta Airlines, Delta Connection, and Delta Airlines partner ExpressJet, and is a focus city for low-cost carriers Frontier Airlines, Southwest Airlines, and Spirit Airlines. With just over 1,000 flights a day, the Delta Airlines hub is the world's largest hub. Delta Airlines flew 75.4% of the airport's passengers in February 2016, Southwest flew 9.23%, and American Airlines flew 2.49%. In addition to hosting Delta Airlines' corporate headquarters, Hartsfield-Jackson is also the home of Delta's Technical Operations Center, which is the airline's primary maintenance, repair and overhaul arm. The airport has international service to North America, South America, Central America, Europe, Asia and Africa. As an international gateway to the United States, Hartsfield-Jackson ranks 6th. The airport is located mostly in unincorporated areas in Fulton and Clayton counties. However, the airport spills into the city limits of Atlanta, College Park and Habbville. The airport's domestic terminal is served by MARTA's Red Gold Rail Line. History. Hartsfield-Jackson had its beginnings with a 5-year, rent-free lease on 287 acres that was the home of an abandoned auto race track named the Atlanta Speedway. The lease was signed April 16, 1925, by Mayor Walter Sims, who committed the city to develop it into an airfield. As part of the agreement, the property was renamed Candler Field after its former owner, Coca-Cola tycoon and former Atlanta Mayor Asher Candler. The first flight into Candler Field was September 15, 1926, a Florida Airways mail plane flying from Jacksonville, Florida. In May 1928, Pitcairn Aviation began service to Atlanta, followed in June 1930 by Delta Air Service. Later those two airlines, now known as Eastern Airlines and Delta Airlines, respectively, would both use Atlanta as the chief hubs. The airport's weather station became the official location for Atlanta's weather observations September 1, 1928, and records by the National Weather Service. It was a busy airport from its inception, and by the end of 1930 it was third behind New York City and Chicago for regular daily flights, with 16 arriving and departing. Candler Field's first control tower opened March 1939. The March 1939 official aviation guide shows 14 weekday airline departures, 10 Eastern and 4 Delta. In October 1940, the U.S. government declared it a military airfield, and the United States Army Air Forces operated Atlanta Army Airfield jointly with Candler Field. The Air Force used the airport primarily for servicing of transient aircraft, with many types of combat aircraft being maintained at the airport. During World War II, the airport doubled in size and set a record of 1,700 takeoffs and landings in a single day, making it the nation's busiest airport in terms of flight operation. Atlanta Army Airfield closed after the war. In 1946, Candler Field was renamed Atlanta Municipal Airport, and by 1948, more than 1 million passengers passed through a war surplus hangar that served as a terminal building. Delta and Eastern had extensive networks from ATL, though Atlanta had no non-stop flights beyond Texas, St. Louis and Chicago until 1961. Southern Airways established itself at ATL after the war and had short-haul routes around the Southeast until 1979. On June 1, 1956, an Eastern Airlines flight to Montreal, Canada was the first scheduled international flight out of Atlanta. Atlanta's first scheduled transatlantic flight was the Delta Pan Am Interchange DC-8 to Europe starting in 1964. The first scheduled non-stop to Mexico was Eastern's flight to Mexico City around 1972. Non-stops to Europe started in 1978 and to Asia in 1992-93. In 1957, Atlanta saw its first jet airliner, a prototype Sud Aviation Caravelle that was touring the country, arrived from Washington, D.C. The first scheduled turbine airliners were Capital Viscounts in June 1956. The first scheduled jets were Delta DC-8s in September 1959. Atlanta was the busiest airport in the country, with more than 2 million passengers passing through in 1957, and between noon and 2 p.m. each day, it became the busiest airport in the world. Chicago Midway had 414 weekday departures, including 48 between 12 o'clock and 2 p.m. For the year 1957, Atlanta was the 9th busiest airline airport in the country by flight count and about the same by passenger count. That year, work began on a new $21 million terminal which opened May 3, 1961. It was the largest in the country and could handle over 6 million travelers a year. The first year, 9.5 million people passed through. In March 1962, the longest runway was 7,860 feet. Runway 3 was 5,505 feet and runway 15 was 7,220 feet long. The airport's terminal until the 1970s was located off Virginia Avenue, on the north side of the airport. It was designed around 6 pier concourses radiating from a central building. Construction began on the present Midfield Terminal in January 1977 under the administration of Mayor Maynard Jackson. It was the largest construction project in the South, costing $500 million. The complex was designed by Stevens and Amp Wilkinson, Smith Hinchman and Amp Grills, and minority airport architects and Amp planners. Named for former Atlanta Mayor William Berry Hartsfield, who did much to promote air travel. William B. Hartsfield Atlanta International Airport opened on September 21, 1980, on time and under budget. It was designed to accommodate up to 55 million passengers per year and covered 2.5 million square feet. In December 1984, a 9,000-foot fourth parallel runway was completed and another runway was extended to 11,889 feet the following year. Although Eastern was a larger airline than Delta until airline deregulation in 1978, Delta was early to adopt the hub-and-spoke route system, with Atlanta as its primary hub between the Midwest and Florida, giving it an advantage in the Atlanta market. Eastern ceased operations in 1991 due to labor issues, leaving Delta with the only major airline hub in Atlanta. American Airlines considered establishing an Atlanta hub around the time of Eastern's demise, but determined that Delta was already too strong there and that the competitive environment was more favorable at Eastern's other hub in Miami. The ValueJet was established in 1993 as low-cost competition for Delta.It ATL. However, its safety practices were called into question early and the airline was grounded after the 1996 crash of ValueJet Flight 592. It resumed operations in 1997 as AirTran Airways and was the second largest airline at ATL until it was acquired by Southwest Airlines in 2011 and fully absorbed into Southwest on December 28, 2014. Southwest is now the airport's second largest carrier. In May 2001, construction of a 9,000-foot fifth runway began. It was completed at a cost of $1.28 billion and opened on May 27, 2006. It bridges Interstate 285 on the south side of the airport, making Hartsfield-Jackson the only civil airport in the nation to have a runway above an interstate. The massive project, which involved putting filled 11 stories high in some places, destroyed some surrounding neighborhoods and dramatically changed the scenery of Flat Rock Cemetery and Hart Cemetery, both of which are located on the airport property. It was added to help ease some of the traffic problems caused by landing small and mid-size aircraft on the longer runways, which are also used by larger planes such as the Boeing 777, which need longer runways than the smaller planes. With the fifth runway, Hartsfield-Jackson is one of only a few airports that can perform triple simultaneous landings. The fifth runway is expected to increase the capacity for landings and takeoffs by 40%, from an average of 184 flights per hour to 237 flights per hour. Along with the construction of the fifth runway, a new control tower was built to see the entire length of the runway. The new control tower is the tallest in the United States, with a height of over 398 feet. The old control tower, 585 feet away from the new control tower, was demolished August 5, 2006. Atlanta City Council voted on October 20, 2003, to change the name from Hartsfield Atlanta International Airport to the current Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, to honor former Mayor Maynard Jackson, who died June 23, 2003. The council initially planned on renaming the airport solely for Mayor Jackson, but public outcry prevented this. In April 2007, an end-around taxiway opened, Taxiway Victor. It is expected to save an estimated $26 million to $30 million in fuel each year by allowing airplanes landing on the northernmost runway to taxi to the gate area without preventing other aircraft from taking off. The taxiway drops about 30 feet from runway elevation to allow takeoffs to continue. After the Southeastern U.S. drought of 2007, the airport made changes to reduce water usage. This included adjusting toilets, of which there are 725 commodes and 338 urinals, in addition to 601 sinks. It also suspended the practice of using fire trucks to spray water over aircraft when the pilot made a last landing before retirement. The city of Macon offered to sell water to the airport through proposed pipeline. Many of the new high-efficiency toilets and faucets installed at the airport were made by Toto, a Japanese company known for water conservation with 2 local plants in the Atlanta suburb of Morrow. The airport today employs about 55,300 airline, ground transportation, concessionaire, security, federal government, City of Atlanta and airport tenant employees, and is the largest employment center in the U.S. state of Georgia. with a payroll of $2.4 billion. The airport has a direct and indirect economic impact of $3.2 billion on the local and regional economy and a total annual regional economic impact of more than $19.8 billion. Since the opening of Concourse F in May 2012, the airport now has 200 gates, which is the most at any airport. In December 2015, the airport became the first airport in the world to serve 100 million passengers in a year. In November 2015, Emirates announced it was considering starting service to ATL since Delta had decided to end flights to Dubai effective February 2016. Expansion and renovations. In 1999, Hartsfield-Jackson's leadership established the development program, Focus on the Future, involving multiple construction projects with the intention of preparing the airport to handle a projected demand of 121 million passengers in 2015. The program was originally budgeted at $5.4 billion over a 10-year period, but the total is now revised to be at over $9 billion. Hartsfield-Jackson Rental Car Center. The Hartsfield-Jackson Rental Car Center, which opened December 8, 2009, houses all 10 current airport rental agencies with capacity for additional companies. The complex features 9,900 parking spaces split between two 4-story parking decks that together cover 2,800,000 square feet, a 137,000 square foot customer service center, a maintenance center for vehicles which features 140 gas pumps and 30 wash bays equipped with a water recovery system. The automated people mover, nicknamed the ATL SkyTrain, connects the domestic terminal to the Gateway Center of the Georgia International Convention Center and the Hartsfield-Jackson Rental Car Center. A 4-lane roadway was built across Interstate 85 to connect the Hartsfield-Jackson Rental Car Center to the existing airport road network. Maynard H. Jackson, Jr. International Terminal. In July 2003, a former Atlanta Mayor Shirley Franklin announced a new terminal to be named for Maynard H. Jackson, Jr. The new international terminal would be built on the east side of the airport near International Concourse E, on a site that had been occupied by air cargo facilities and the midfield control tower. It has added 12 new gates able to hold wide-body jets, which can be converted to 16 narrow-body gates, as well as new check-in desks and a baggage claim area solely for international carriers. Additionally, the international terminal has its own parking lot just for international passengers with over 1,100 spaces. Arriving international passengers whose final destination is Atlanta are able to keep possession of the luggage as they proceed to exit the airport. The new terminal is connected to Concourse E by the tram and also has ground transportation access via I-75. The new terminal was slated to open in 2006. However, time and cost overruns led former airport general manager Ben DeCosta to cancel the design contract in August 2005. The next day, the architect sued the airport claiming fraud and bad faith, blaming the airport authority for the problems. In early 2007, the general manager awarded a new design contract on the new international terminal to Atlanta Gateway designers. Construction began in the summer of 2008. Estimates placed the terminal's cost at $1.4 billion and it opened on May 16, 2012. The first departure was Delta Flight number 295 to Tokyo Narita, with the first arrival being Delta Flight number 177 from Dublin. In addition to Terminal F allowing expanded international operations at the airport, sections of some midfield taxiways have been widened from 145 feet to 162 feet, and a section of runway 27R has been widened from 220 feet to 250 feet in order to accommodate Airbus A380 operations at the airport. Air France is considering whether they will commence A380 service from Atlanta, and Korean Air began daily service from Atlanta to Seoul on September 1, 2013. Additionally, two adjacent gates on Concourse E, Gate C1 and E3, have been retrofitted to allow lower-level boarding from one gate and upper-level boarding from the other, allowing for quick boarding and the facilitation of passengers to other connecting flights around the airport. Modernization of Concourse D. On June 6, 2011, Atlanta City Council awarded a contract to the joint venture of Holder, Moody, Bryson to renovate and expand Concourse D. There will be 60,000 square feet of space added, 2 new escalators between the main level and the transportation mall, 3 new elevators between the second and third levels, and there will be both expanded and new food, beverage and retail outlets. The project budget is not to exceed $37 million and it is set for completion by spring 2014. Airport Master Plan. On August 28, 2014, the airport management unveiled a preliminary new master plan. Included in the preliminary master plan are the replacement of the existing domestic parking garages, an end-around taxiway and additional cargo facilities on the south side of the airport, the addition of 3 new international concourses, the conversion of Concourse E to domestic use and a 6th runway. On March 10, 2016, the final 20-year master plan was finalized. The final master plan includes the following: modernization of the existing terminals, construction of Concourse G, expansion of Concourse D, extension of Concourse D, relocation of the turnback for the plane train, construction of a new parking deck next to the Georgia International Convention Center, a new park-and-ride lot at Sullivan Road, replacement of the existing domestic parking garages, a new hotel, travel plaza, and mixed-use commercial complex, repaving of the existing runways and taxiways, a new 6th runway, a new end-around taxiway, replacement and relocation of cargo buildings, the fire station, and maintenance complexes. Proposed concourses H and I are not currently included in the final master plan, but may be added later if demand warrants in 2030 or later. Terminals. Layout. Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International Airport has terminal and concourse space totaling 6,800,000 square feet. The airport has 2 terminals where passengers check in and claim bags: the domestic terminal and the Maynard H. Jackson, Jr. International Terminal. The domestic terminal is on the west side of the airport. The Maynard H. Jackson, Jr. International Terminal is located on the east side of the airport, and includes customs and immigration services for international passengers. 7 parallel concourse buildings accommodate passenger boarding and are located between the 2 terminals. Concourse D is connected to the domestic terminal. The remaining 6 concourses from west to east are concourses A, B, C, D, E, and F. Concourses A, D, and T are used for domestic flights, while concourses E and F are used for international flights. Concourse F is directly connected to the international terminal. Concourse-E has a designated walkway to the international terminal, and also has its own federal inspection station for connecting passengers. The terminals and concourses are connected by an underground transportation mall which passes under the center of each concourse. At one time, there was a second underground walkway between concourses B and C which connected the north end of the two concourses and made it possible to transfer without returning to the center of the concourse. This was constructed for Eastern Airlines, which occupied these two terminals. This is now closed and the entrance at Concourse B has been replaced by a bank of arrival-departure monitors. When the current passenger terminal opened in 1980, it consisted of only the domestic terminal, the north half of Concourse D, and concourses A-D. Concourse-E opened in 1994 for international flights in time for the 1996 Summer Olympics, which were held in Atlanta. Once Concourse-E was opened, Concourse D was converted to domestic use and the former U.S. Customs Hall was converted into a dedicated baggage claim area for American Airlines. Concourse F and the International Terminal opened in 2012. Domestic Terminal. The domestic terminal is divided into two sides for ticketing, check-in and baggage claim, Terminal South and Terminal North. The portion of the building between Terminal North and Terminal South includes the atrium, which is a large, open seating area featuring concessionaires, a bank, conference rooms, and interfaith chapel and offices on the upper floors with the main security checkpoint, the ground transportation center and a MARTA station on other levels. Delta is the sole tenant located at Terminal South. All other domestic airlines operating from Atlanta, including the airport's second largest carrier, Southwest Airlines, are located at Terminal North. Most domestic flights arrive and depart within concourses T, A, B, C and D. Some domestic flights depart from concourses E and AMP F when gates T or A, D are not available, or when an aircraft arrives as an international flight and continues as a domestic flight. Maynard Holbrook Jackson Jr. International Terminal. International flights arrive and depart from the International Terminal, either Concourse E or F. Concourse F and the new International Terminal opened May 16, 2012, while Concourse E opened in September 1994, in anticipation of the 1996 Summer Olympics. International pre-cleared flights can arrive at concourses T and AMP A-D. International flights can also depart from concourses T and AMP A-D, such as when space is unavailable at concourses E or F, or when an aircraft arrives as a domestic flight and continues as an international flight. Furthermore, all international pre-cleared flights, regardless of origin, will collect the baggage at the international terminal. Concourses. Airlines operating in the concourses as follows: Concourse D 17 gates American Airlines, Delta Airlines and United Airlines. Concourse A 29 gates, only Delta Airlines. Concourse B 32 gates, only Delta Airlines. Concourse C 48 gates, Delta Airlines and Southwest Airlines. Concourse D 43 gates, Alaska Airlines, American Airlines, Delta Airlines, Frontier Airlines, and Spirit Airlines. Concourse E 28 gates and 3 stands, Air France, British Airways, Delta Airlines, KLM, Korean Air, Lufthansa, Qatar, Turkish Airlines, and Virgin Atlantic. Concourse F 12 gates, Air Canada, Air France, British Airways, Delta Airlines, KLM, Korean Air, Lufthansa, Qatar, Southwest Airlines, Turkish Airlines, and Virgin Atlantic. Note: all international arrivals are handled at concourses E and F, transportation mall and the plane train, in addition to a pedestrian walkway, which includes a series of moving walkways connecting the concourses. The transportation mall also features an automated people mover called the plane train. The plane train has a station at the east end of the domestic terminal for passengers who have cleared security screening at the terminal and are entering the transportation mall. This station also serves as the station for Concourse-E. Other stations are located at each of the 6 other concourses, including Concourse F, which is connected to the international terminal. An 8th station is located in the baggage claim area, directly under the main terminal. The People Mover is the world's busiest automated system, with over 64 million riders in 2002. Airlines and destinations. Note: all international arrivals are handled at concourses E and F. Passenger cargo statistics. Top destinations. Airline market share. Notes: 1 includes U.S. Airways. Annual traffic. Ground transportation. Road. The domestic terminal is accessed directly from Interstate 85 at exit 72. The international terminal is accessed directly from Interstate 75 at exit 239. These freeways in turn connect with the following additional freeways within 10 miles. Interstate 285, Interstate 675, Georgia State Route 166, Interstate 20. Metro Hartsfield-Jackson also has its own train station on the city's rapid transit system, MARTA. The above-ground station is inside in the main building, between the north and south domestic terminals on the west end. The airport train station is currently the southernmost station in the MARTA system. Other facilities. The 990 Toffee Terrace hangar, a part of Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, and located the City of College Park corporate limits, is owned by the City of Atlanta. The building now houses the Atlanta Police Department helicopter unit. It once served as the headquarters of the regional airline ExpressJet. Before the merger, Atlantic Southeast Airlines headquartered in the hangar, then named the ATEC Center. In December 2007, the airline announced it was moving its headquarters into the facility, previously named the North Hangar. The 203,000 square foot hangar includes 100,000 square feet of hangar bays for aircraft maintenance. It has 17 acres of adjacent land and 1,400 parking spaces for employees. The airline planned to relocate 100 employees from Macon, Georgia to the new headquarters. The Atlanta City Council and Mayor of Atlanta Shirley Franklin approved of the new 25-year ASHA lease, which also gave the airline new hangar space to work on 15 to 25 aircraft in overnight maintenance. Previously, its aircraft were serviced at Concourse-E. The airport property division stated that the hangar was built in the 1960s and renovated in the 1970s. Eastern Airlines and Delta Airlines had previously occupied the hangar. Delta's lease originally was scheduled to expire in 2010, but the airline returned the lease to the City of Atlanta in 2005 as part of its bankruptcy settlement. The city collected an insurance settlement of almost $900,000 as a result of the cancellation.